I have a mask with me because of COVID, but right now I'm wearing it because there is some sort of pollution here that smells so bad. It's like industrial. I've smelled it before. I don't know what it is. Benzene maybe, something crazy like that, but it is so strong here along these tracks out in Kearny Marsh. If it's this barrel that smells, but it's approaching this barrel that I started getting the scent. It's a stench, man. So we got some major pollution out here in Kearny Marsh along the trail, along the tracks. It's pretty bad, man. It smells terrible. I'm approaching the junction with the Boonton Line, and I had to start my journey by walking all the way out into the marsh so I can meet the starting point of this track. And I took a couple detours, checked out some abandoned stuff along the way. Well, I went a little far afield at this, I think it's a radio station. It's like an old abandoned radio station on the side of Route 7. I've always gone past it. I always wanted to see what it was. Locked up. Not easy to get into the building, and I had other business because I was trying to get out to the beginning of the Newark Branch, so you know, I went and explored it a little bit. But I'd always seen these concrete buildings on satellite images and stuff, and when I've walked here before, they look like these weird bunkers out in the marsh. I always wanted to go check them out, so I just bushwhacked through all this Jersey bamboo, fragmites, everything, soaking wet, just to get out here, only to be cut off and not actually be able to reach them because there's water in between of unknown depth. Not much water, just a little. They're kind of like little islands out there. I assume they're for the antenna because there's this old antenna in the water, and you can tell it's really, really old. It was just sitting there in the water, been there for a long time. Someone has set up this yard with all sorts of shopping carts and bicycles and twine, just all sorts of a weird collection of carts, strollers, all this junk. So obviously people are over here. You know, you see evidence of humans out here in the marsh all the time, but I don't run into humans very frequently, you know, which is fine. I'm not really looking to, honestly. Now here's a barrel that was filled with something very toxic, probably, and it oozed out of the barrel, and now the barrel is sitting in its own ooze. And I'm standing here right underneath it like a fool. Who knows what's here? There could be bodies buried. Jimmy Hoffa could be here. This could be where Hoffa landed. You know? Look in these 55-gallon drums. Maybe that's where he is. They're everywhere. You're gonna have a lot of drums to look through. So, and you can actually, from the tracks, that's how I found this. You can just see it. You can just see this, like this giant tanker. Just like in the woods. Right there, and leading up to it is like this big puddle, you know, like this really big wetland area. So it just tells you this is no good. This is no good. What we've done out here in the Meadowlands is atrocious. It's really sick. The tracks are an oasis. They're an island, a very long, skinny island that you can follow. And I'd say, the best place to follow the tracks is in the Meadowlands because it is so desolate and so infrequented. People don't come out here much, man. And it's pretty cool to see it firsthand. A lot of really beautiful sights, a lot of really tragic sights too. And I've been out here for hours and I haven't seen a single person, except for all the people driving and the people flying over my head and these low-flying airplanes. And I mean, I'm surrounded by people, I'm surrounded by civilization. But this is a little island where I can't reach them, they can't reach me. It's cool how they built the tracks in the Meadowlands because it's basically just a pile of gravel that was just dumped and dumped and dumped. They made a huge roadway into the Meadowlands with gravel. And this is back in the 1800s. So you can imagine the type of machinery they used to do it. And they just kept dumping load after load after load after load after load. And then when they finally got enough fill in here, they were able to smooth it out and lay down the tracks. And that engineering has endured to this day. I'm walking along the same tracks that were here in 1870, that were laid down in 1870. It's pretty cool. It's good to get out here while it's still here. It's good to get out here while I'm still here. There's no guarantees. For me, today could easily be the last day of my life. Currently it's the year 2021. This railroad, I found out, the Newark Branch, was inaugurated in 1870. So the first train started going from Jersey City to Patterson in 1870. So this has been around for a really, really long time. And now that it's abandoned, it's funny, it's like a scar across the map. But unlike the rest of the development, this scar has turned green, and it's the only green spot except some parks and some streams. But this is a really long green spot going all the way from Kearny Marsh to Clifton. And when people told me that I should walk this, I started looking at it on the map and seeing the green mark. And whenever you see that green on the satellite image, it's on, you're in the right spot. So we're coming up in the Clark threadmill, which is one of the most amazing structures, mill structures, still existing in North Jersey that I know of. I think it's huge, man. I read that it took 4 million bricks to build it. I think the stack is over 300 feet tall. I think I read somewhere that it began in 1866, the building of it. Originally they started across the river in Newark, but they ended up moving their facilities into this giant mill in East Newark, which is one of the smallest towns in New Jersey. Really cool little town between Harrison and Kearny. And what they're most famous for is probably the Tops Diner and the Clark Threadmill. So now with the Clark Threadmill, they're tearing down some of the inner buildings that were in the, I guess you call it a courtyard, and they're making the main mill structure into, I believe, residential property, and then below it on street level I think there's going to be a lot of businesses. So anyway, it could be a really good thing. It could be really cool. It could be an awesome place to live, that's for sure. They used to keep night watchmen in the upper floors. It's like 5 stories high, and they would pay specific attention to the riverfront there, watching out for river pirates. And so these night watchmen, they had these bells, and you can still see them there today. It's like this pull chain or whatever. And if a night watchman is down on the level of the street and he sees something, he can pull the bell, ring the bells, sound the alarm. It's no surprise that the Newark Branch was built so close to the Clark Threadmill, because they utilized it for their business. Right down the tracks, you find the NX Bridge, otherwise known as the Annie Bridge. It's really old, and it's decaying very badly. If you watch the film Annie, that was filmed in 1982, they did that really famous bridge scene where Punjab flies in and rescues Annie from the top of the bridge. He's dangling by a bed sheet, and she's holding on for dear life. If you look at that movie, man, it was filmed at the NX Bridge, and I don't know if it was probably a stunt double or whatever, but this girl and this guy, they climbed the bridge in the movie. And I don't know if in 1982, if it was in better shape, they had a lot of safeguards in place. I really don't know what they did for the movie, but I've walked out on that bridge, and it's rickety, man. At the top, it says Adopt 6, the graffiti artist. He got up there, and I always thought, wow, that's awesome. But then in reviewing Annie and watching that again, it's like, well, if little orphan Annie could do it, anyone could do it, right? But no, obviously, Adopt 6 has some serious balls. Passaic Street, Newark, New Jersey. The NX Bridge crossing the Passaic River would have taken this path afterwards. You can still see some tracks sticking out of the mud every once in a while. With graffiti, that's what I love the most. People who go up high, who hit places where no one else goes, I respect that. That's cool. And one of those spots is the Riverside Industrial Park in Newark, down the tracks from the NX Bridge a little ways. And there's been oil spills and stuff into the Passaic River from there, and it's just been a challenge in general. Most of the buildings have been foreclosed on and are owned by Newark, and they go back to 1902, and it was the Patent Paint Company. And then in 1971, they shut down and consolidated, did whatever businesses do, and it became what it is now today, which is an industrial park, basically. And although they have done some Band-Aid type cleanups, there's a lot more that needs to be done. While they decide what exactly that is, the buildings sit there, decay, and get covered in graffiti. Obviously, that is my ideal situation, so this is like a spot for me. This is what I like. I hang out here. It can be dangerous for many reasons, but I keep finding myself coming back over and over and over again. You know, it's a place I've had my eye on for a very long time because of the Passaic River connection. It's right there. I think it was like 2009 that they had this really bad spill. But basically, from what I could tell, all they really did was plug up this one outlet hole, and they're still trying to figure out what the hell they're going to do with the thing. You know, a lot of pollutions like that, it's daunting, and you're just like, oh my God, what do I do with this? Well, I hit a bit of a dead end, so heading back towards the truck. I'm gonna change the battery in my camera and go kind of like fill in the blanks with my vehicle. I used to just walk this and it was all just rails. Now it's been filled in, so they're gonna do something back here. I'm glad I'm walking this when I am. It's giving me a chance to kind of see it before they do whatever they do. I don't know, it's pretty desolate out here, so who knows what they're actually gonna do. But you know, just keep walking the Newark Branch, see where it takes me. I'm actually about to cross into Newark from Belleville, so I'm walking backwards because yesterday I couldn't get through that truck yard. So truck yard wall is right behind me, and there's two bridges I'm about to cross. One goes over a street, I think it's Mill Street, and the other one goes over Second River. It's cold today, and my hand is cold holding this camera up. I just crossed over Mill Street and I'm headed towards this wall where the trucking company now is and where the tracks were. And this is where I'll chill out and smoke a joint. Someone else has been up here chilling themselves. This used to be like a big spot for prostitution and shooting heroin, smoking crack. But it looks like, you know, having this truck yard here actually calmed that down a little bit in this area, because I don't see the evidence of it the way I used to. Also, it's winter time, so I'm the only idiot out here, you know. Walking over Second River on this bridge is always cool. I remember I used to come here all the time, and it was before this wall went up, because there's like some trucking company or something that's taken over the right of way from Verona Avenue to Second River, basically. And that used to just be abandoned train tracks that ran right by Seton Leather. One time I saw a prostitute, I got propositioned by a prostitute on the train tracks. She asked me if I got high. I was like, I didn't think she meant just smoking weed, you know what I mean? So I was like, no. And, you know, wished her luck. That's not my scene, you know what I mean? That's not why I come out here. I felt bad for her though, you know? Because she was obviously living some sort of hard fucking life, man. It's kind of weird now because I'm walking through Belleville and people are, you know, looking at me like I'm crazy for being on the tracks. So there's a perfectly good sidewalk over there, but I'm out here walking on the tracks. In my life, I'm looking to stay on the rails. It's really hard to do, especially with COVID, especially with just the madness and, you know, just having the consciousness of all this. But when I come out here, I'm here, I'm present. It's a beautiful, beautiful world we live in. We need to remember that amidst the chaos of our own society. Love coming out here on the train tracks, especially in the winter. Everything is just dead and dry and washed out, desolate. It's forlorn, especially on gloomy days. Man, you come out here, sometimes it feels like the end of the world. Maybe it is the end of the world. I really don't know. It's like desolate. New Jersey's a desolate place. We've ruined it. But I love it. But we ruined it, and then it's really nasty. People say that, like they call it dirty Jersey, but we forget. So, you know, it's pretty hideous and everything, but it's home. Oh, man. Found this old flagpole here. It says, to the memory of Walter Kidde, 1877 to 1943, engineer, constructor, industrialist, civic leader, churchman, erected by the employees of the Walter Kidde and Company Incorporated, 1944. Demasted. This flagpole is no more. Sorry, Walter. And by the way, your land is incredibly polluted. So, great fucking job. Even the dirt has graffiti on it. I found this plate the other day and had writing all over it, and that was down the track some, just past the ShopRite. And anyway, I found another one. It says fuck 2020. My sentiments exactly. I was wondering what the hell these plates are all about. I guess it has something to do with the new year. This is some sort of like plate smashing spell or something. Somebody came to the tracks and got out their frustrations on 2020. It's probably parked right here at the end of the street. It's like witchcraft. I like that. I'm all for witchcraft. I don't know that it works, but it might. Oh, good. There's another light on. Every time I find one of these boxes with a light on, it's a big deal. It's like, yes. They have these electrical boxes at every intersection where they have train signals, and some of them still have this flashing or solid white light on. And I just came across one. I just want to go out and see what's there. That's the whole reason why I went out on the Passaic River. I'd be driving when I lived in Morris County, and I'd be seeing the Passaic River. I'd come back to my parents' house, and Essex County, I'd be seeing the Passaic River. I'd be driving to the city, Passaic River, Passaic River, Passaic River. It's like everywhere I went, the Passaic River was there too. It meant something. It was like, what is this? This is the corridor of our lives here. Love coming out here on the train tracks. It's different than the river, but it's connected to the river in some weird way. It's the same sort of thing where it's got like a starting point and an ending point. I like that. I like that aspect of it. It gives you something to follow. I want to follow just like everyone else. I just can't bring myself to follow other people. I follow train tracks and rivers. You know what I mean? But I'm just as much a follower as anybody else. Just as much a seeker as anybody else. Maybe more so because, man, I'm hungry for it. You know, I come out here like I'm addicted. I can't stay at home. Even if I wanted to, even if it's dangerous, I can't stop. That's not so bad with the steel grate, man. It's not that scary. It's pretty high though. Most of the train tracks, they're abandoned, and you're just walking for these long stretches with just yourself. You know, that changes though when you start walking through places like Belleville and Nutley, and then all of a sudden, you know, people are looking at you funny, and you're just like, you wouldn't understand if I told you, you know? Just 2020 was a really, really bad year. So to get out here, it's been very therapeutic. Except my knees hurt from walking so much. The whole world goes mad. Just what do? You know? I'm gonna go walk the tracks, man. Why not? Trying to find some direction. Makes perfect sense. This goes right under the tracks. And here I am, standing in the stream. So I just passed the JC 14 mile marker coming into Clifton from Nutley. It's January 7th, cold day, New Jersey. I'm out here. This possibly could be my last walkable stretch. I just entered Clifton, and that's sort of the last spot where these tracks are abandoned. And then before they get into Patterson, they actually hit a line that's in use right now. So you can't really walk on those lines, or maybe you can. I really don't know because I haven't been there yet. That's what I'm looking to find out. Possibly today. May not make it that far. Depends on the interesting stuff I might find along the way, or what trouble I might find myself in along the way. The steady hum of the highway. Route 3. It's pretty grimy under this bridge. Kind of muddy and grimy. There's a huge crack in this one pillar up here. This is Route 3, okay? This is what you drive over every day. Just know that underneath this bridge, there's a giant fucking crack. This really weird orange chemical. It like leaches out of the ground. It's nasty. What I always thought about while I was walking on the track, I'd be thinking about writing books. And I'd be like, oh, this would be cool for a book. That was in my 20s. Now in my 40s, I'm finally seeing how to make those books. I'll make a book, and hey, while I'm out here taking the pictures, I might as well shoot some video, you know? Like, this is where I'm supposed to be. It's where I want to be. And maybe other people could be interested too, you know? For me, it's always about the book. That's what I do, I write books. End of track, but I'm still walking. This is definitely an old station. I wonder if it's like a cake. They made a cake out of it. I want to just eat this thing. This is under Route 46, Clifton. Okay, I found where they meet. That's the first train I've seen in a long time. If the train comes towards me, I'll just get off the tracks. But yeah, I think just the look of it around here, I don't think it's really going to be feasible to walk it. Well, this is truly it. I've definitely made it to the end of the line here. I mean, these tracks go right into the concrete ties. You know, when you see concrete ties, not wooden ties, you reach the end of the line. It looks too nice. Like it's all maintained, unlike, you know, all the abandoned stuff I've been walking End of the line, baby. End of the line. Great walk, though. Really good. Have a good time. Highly recommend.